Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another roster planning video. Today I'm going to be talking specifically about one really helpful tool that I use to help decide what my next big farm should be. Now, for like beginner players and early mid game, I have kind of a set pattern or directive to go for. You don't necessarily chase the big journey guide characters. You don't necessarily chase a bunch of galactic legends or even the big solo journey characters. You want to take care of your assault battles, take care of fleets. But once you've done that and got all the low-hanging fruit, even like Peridia Pals and, the Padawan Obi-Wan, Master Qui-Gon, all those more resource-getting farms, there's still a lot of characters left. There's still a lot of Galactic Legends so you don't absolutely need for any of those assault battles or anything. And it's kind of hard to determine what you should actually farm, even among these higher standard journey guide characters. And a big thing is, how good they are, of course. And there's all kinds of considerations for that. I have a whole Galactic Legend ranking video that talks about that. But if you're like me, one of the first steps you're going to do, and I've been doing this a little bit lately, trying to figure out who I want to go for next as my big farm on the GoTanks account. You might go to the journey guide and look at the list, see how many you have completed, and just take a glance and say, hey, I'm actually not that far. That wouldn't be too bad. And you kind of get a sense, you see some higher relics. But then you don't intuitively know exactly the difference of that. And this is what it made me think of this tool and showed in a video, is because I was recently toying with the idea of thinking Ahsoka is my absolute next Galactic Legend. Whenever I do go for a Galactic Legend, I am planning on going for, Bo-Katan before then, because she's extremely valuable, and maybe even Gas. But who's my next Galactic Legend? And I was looking at Ahsoka and Jedi Master Luke. I have 5 out of 16 done for Ahsoka, or 5 out of 17, and I have 8 out of 16 done for Jedi Master Luke. But until you get the check mark, they're absolutely done. You don't have a very intuitive way to see exactly how much is left, at least not in game. So that's where the best Galaxy of Heroes website ever comes into play. This is Swigga.gg, and I know I've covered this tool before, but it's been quite a while, and I think I did a video entirely about Swigga.gg a while ago, but it was right before it got a facelift, so I thought it was worth covering. So what you want to do, you go to your profile. If you haven't signed up for Swigga.gg, you can just Google your name and Swigga, or find your guild and find yourself there. But you go to the Tools tab, click on Gear Tracker, and this has every major legendary and galactic legend since... My dog is going crazy right now. Since the first 2 Galactic Legends, Kylo and Rey. And the reason that they developed this, and I think it's just such a great tool, is because Galactic Legends were such a step above what we were used to and required units with so many characters in relics, a vast amount. It was hard to know exactly what you needed. And the last time I used this for my account actually was just checking to see my progress on Leia. So since I already have Leia, you can see there's nothing left. And let's just benchmark and check Leviathan, because Leviathan I am going to be getting before I get any other Galactic Legend. Most likely, because it's just super important. So you can see in the gear needed, we have 950 stun cuffs, 800 Kyrotech. So Kyrotech's a big benchmark, but it's getting a little less crucial or hard to get because of all these tokens everywhere. You can just wait and wait for the right token to come along, or buy them in the era currency shipments or whatever. But yeah, wow, 800 compared to 300 of this. So a lot of it's just getting to gear 13, but you can kind of get a sense of how far you are away from stuff. And I think one of the most key resources you're going to need to benchmark for whatever farm you're doing is signal data. With relic materials getting easier and easier to get, I do think the 10th anniversary change was a net positive, and that we're able to get carbonate circuit boards and bronzium wiring faster. Chromium transistors were never really a problem if you know what you're doing. Iridium heatsinks, easier to get. Electriums and symbols, arguably easier. I think easier to get. It just gets in the way of getting from gear 12 to gear 13 as well. Just kind of every relic piece got easier to get, honestly, every single one. What didn't really get that much easier is signal data. So signal data is going to be a huge bottleneck. For Leviathan, I need 755, 735, and 460. Let's compare that to Galactic Legend Ahsoka. So I need 1280 of the first one, 1290, and 1035. Already, that is a lot more. And then when I go down to the gear, it's 1500 of that the Shockbride Kyrotech 1100, the computer one, 1650 Stun Cuff, 1700 Carbantes. Let's benchmark furnaces too. So 450 furnaces. That's the most common Gear 12 Plus piece required by characters. So that's why I think it's a good benchmark. 450 as well. So that's actually kind of an odd corollary, or not corollary, correlation between the two. They need the exact same amount of furnaces. So I need a good amount of Gear 12 to Gear 13. But some of the tokens, like at the end of any kind of episode track, you're gonna get a Gear 13 character, which is insane, and you can use that to contribute towards that. So we're mainly focusing on this signal data. But what really was kind of eye-opening, and my initial plan was, Leia, Jabba, and JML have a lot of overlap, so obviously JML is easier. But this really opened my eyes to show how much closer I am to Jedi Master Luke in a way that I wasn't intuitively thinking. Just looking at the checklist, it was like 8 out of 16 compared to 5 out of 17, but that is vastly less resources. Even Zimbittles, 60 Electriums, 10 Zimbittles, compared to 480 and 240. That's 24 times as many Zimbittles. Not that Zimbittles are my big bottleneck, but it's just you're not needing as much relic materials from relic pieces. It's mainly just the Gear 12 to Gear 13. And as I already stated, that might not be super hard anymore. So we look here, 350 furnaces. This leads me to think I am better off getting JML before Ahsoka, even if Ahsoka might have a resource event. JML is just so much easier. I would fit in with a team I already have in Good Jedi. That would be hard to kind of pass up. So that's what this tool brings. It is just good data. And there's no substitute for good data. You can feel things out and get a sense intuitively, but when you look at the hard numbers, it paints a different picture. Let's compare this even to, a non-galactic legend that I want to get. Bo-Katan Mandalore. 345, 345, 225, 30 Zimbittles, 120 Electriums. That's more than a lot of the resources for JML. Similar amount of Electriums. No, she has double still. He just doesn't need many high relics. 410, 340, 145, 345, 345, 225. So she needs more of the dark blue, which is honestly a lot harder to get. And she needs 500 and 400 of the Kyrotech. He's just not far off. And it's easy to think of Bo-Katan as a much easier farm. And I do. 8 out of 16. And for Bo-Katan, I am 1 out of 4. There's only 3 more characters. But Relic 7 is, just a steeper price to pay than what I need for JML. So, there's no substitute for the good data. So, utilize this tool to the greatest extent possible. And that can help you just scout anything for the future. Maybe you're not as far off from a farm as you think you were. Jedi Cal is kind of like a different story. He doesn't require any relics. Let's say like Kylo and Rey. I don't have anything towards them. They're not that hard of a farm, but they're all first order and resistance, which I have not poured anything into. 2,350 Carbantes. Not even Ahsoka, who's considered expensive, requires that many for me because I just have a lot of the requirements already. And then Lord Vader too. I mean, Lord Vader is thought of as extremely expensive, but for me, I'm much closer to him than I would be Rey or Kylo. Maybe not on the signal data. Let's see, I had 855 of the dark one. Yeah, so the signal data, once you get them into relics, it kind of evens out. And on the lower signal data, it's a bit of a different story, but the flawed signal data is really the kicker. Jedi Master Kenobi. I was also looking at this because I was thinking, hey, I will have Cat. Should I go for Jedi Master Kenobi? And he's not like extremely shockingly far away, but it's just a lot more of a lift. So if I was going to go for a more expensive GL, I'd probably do Ahsoka just because you're going to be getting more resources on a monthly basis. And yeah, so long story short, make use of Swiggy GG. It's really going to help out your farms no matter where you're at. I do think I have that standard playbook for the beginning, free to play guide and everything, which I am going to be doing an update on at some point once I have eras completely figured out. But once you're past all that low hanging fruit, make an informed decision. So that's it. That's going to be all for this one. Just trying to help people decide which next Galactic Legend or Big Journey farm you're going to go for, because it's different for everybody. And, in these roster reviews, even I can't say for sure, like, who's the closest Galactic Legend for you or what would be best. So just help yourself a little bit and use that tool. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.